Time for another viewer suggested challenge. So this one is coming from Veloxius. So this is going to be the second Veloxius challenge. We're going to be playing as Stealth General going up against Tank General, but we have to use hijackers to hijack his vehicles, and we're using those hijacked vehicles to beat up General Kwai. We can build as many workers as we want, but we're not allowed to build any structures besides command centers, supply stashes, barracks, and 5 stealth tunnel networks. So for this one, we're starting off with some fake buildings, so I believe fake buildings is still okay, because we're just going to convert them to real ones. And we're doing that so then we can move the workers back to the resource pile just a little bit sooner. That way I can generate the cash a tad faster. Now the idea for this one is we're going to be using the barracks to just spam out the hijackers. I'm not going to be too focused on building up those 5 stealth tunnel networks to use as defense, because I'm just going to rely pretty much solely on the hijackers to just keep hijacking his vehicles and then using the new vehicles to act as the defense here. So it's not too difficult a challenge, it's more of a fun challenge if anything else. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. There's very straightforward. So here comes the first wave of attacks from General Kwai here, so it's going to be some Battle Master tanks. So for anyone that doesn't know, when you hijack the vehicles here, they're going to retain the veterancy, so I'll be able to have an even more powerful defense going forward. Now with the hijackers, I'm trying to spread them out, that way I've got hijackers at 3 points of defense here, so at the north, at the middle, and then at my flank on the right as well. I do have one more hijacker that's a bit further out where the resource piles are. That's to be more like a scout, because he's going to be stealthy anyway, so he needs something like a Helix or an Emperor Overlord with a GAT on it to detect the hijacker and take him out. So I should be able to use him as a scout for a little while. Now, we ended up getting 4 Battle Master tanks out of that little exchange, so that's very good news for me. Now, I'm trying my best to keep these guys alive. I also do want to try and hold out for more Emperor tanks. See, Emperor tanks are going to be the key to this, because they're going to be able to basically steamroll General Kwai's base if we have enough. If we get enough Emperor Overlords and we can basically take out all of his defending tanks, then we'll be able to blitz through the rest of his base no problem. Whether that's using a sneak attack and then going into his base that way, or if we were to just do a tank spam and then go through his bunkers and Gatling cannon defense and then just go right through the front door, something like that. So there's definitely more than one way to go about it, but I need to have the right number of tanks in order to actually do it. So at this point, I decided to build up my first stealth tunnel network. I'm not really interested in using it as a form of defense. I was more interested in using it as a way to store and hold my tanks and get them back to full health. That way they can pop out again later on. There is also the sneak attack factor. If I want to actually do a sneak attack in Kwai's base, then I'm going to have a tunnel network to store the tanks, and then I can pop out later on. Meanwhile, while that's all going down, I'm getting attacked from all sides. The tank hunters here are quite a bother because they're going to be very effective against the tanks that I'm stealing. Meanwhile, I could be a little bit more efficient with the hijackers. Some of them are just standing around, so I am missing some chances at getting more tanks, but I did get some Emperor Overlords, so that's very good news for me. It's mainly going to be the Emperors that'll keep me in the game. I want to use these guys as my main form of defense, because they're going to, they're going to hold out the best against General Kwai's tanks, no question. So I need those guys to basically be the defense, and then everybody else can be the supporters. And then if we get even more Emperor tanks, then eventually we can start attacking General Kwai with those, and then I've still got some form of defense back at base to hold out against Kwai's counterattack. So at this point I got my third Emperor Overlord, and I saw the fourth one and it had a GAT on it, so I thought I'll charge him with a whole bunch of hijackers. That way at least one of them will get through. But the GAT on that Emperor didn't actually fire on me, so that was great news. I just used the rest of the hijackers to try and hijack these Battle Masters and get as many tanks as possible here. Meanwhile, getting attacked by a Helix, so I didn't really have any anti-air nearby to really counteract that Helix, so I am going to lose the Battle Master that I just hijacked, but the Emperors, that's the key here. And meanwhile, we got another Emperor, so we're going to take that guy. So we've got 5 Emperor Overlords, which is going to be super helpful. We've pretty much locked down our defense. I just need to keep waiting on more Emperors to come by, and then that way I can split up my forces in a way to have a good defense, but also a good offense too. So at this point, I ran out of resources to collect, and as you can see, I have rank 4. And here's the thing, I remembered that I asked Veloxius a while back if there were any rules against general powers for these 3 challenges. So I ended up pausing the game, and you'll see a little transition, and I found the comment. He said that I'm allowed to use the level 1 Rebel Ambush, the Cash Bounty, the Sneak Attack, the GPS Scrambler, Repair GPs are allowed, and it also says I can build Stinger Sites to cover up my expansion, and I can only attack the enemy base with the hijacked enemy vehicles. That's fine. The Stinger Sites we didn't actually need in the end. It was mainly just going to be me attacking Kwai with the tanks, and also defending the base with the tanks as well. So with the other general powers that Veloxius said that I could use, I wasn't sure if he meant that I could use all 3 levels of Cash Bounty and Repairability, or if I was just stuck to level 1 of everything. I decided to play it safe and stay at level 1 Cash Bounty and level 1 Repairability, in case anyone is wondering why I didn't go for, level 2 Cash Bounty when I had the chance. Now, I used my level 1 Rebel Ambush inside Kwai's base. They did take a few shots on that dozer there. That should still be within the rules because I didn't attack Kwai's base, I just attacked one of his units. So I think we're good there. Now, the reason why I used the Rebel Ambush inside Kwai's base is because since I don't have access to the Anthrax Bomb general power, it means I'll have to use that instead as my map revealer, because I'm going to use the Sneak Attack inside Kwai's base and then pop out with a bunch of tanks. But I need to actually wait until the time is right here, so I felt like I need to actually keep defending for just a little bit longer with my tanks, and once I finally built up the confidence, then I actually make my move with the Sneak Attack and the tanks popping out. So at this point, I decided this was actually a good spot to start preparing for my attack on General Kwai's base. So I'm going to get a bunch of my Emperor Overlords to go inside the tunnel. Now, I already have Battle Masters and other tanks inside the tunnel network, so it's not going to take as long for me to actually prep my tunnel for the Sneak Attack. That's going to happen very soon. Now, in terms of my defense, I still have a bunch of Emperor Overlords and some Battle Masters and a Gatling tank, so we're pretty well defended, although I do have more tanks covering my middle and northern side, not so many on my right side, my flank. So I do need to actually move some tanks into position, or if I do get attacked, I can just move the Emperors over that way. It won't take that long to actually defend from that section. So here comes my sneak attack, just trying to find the right spot to actually pop in. So usually this is a very good spot to use the sneak attack, and you can pop out and basically blitz through a dozer as well as the command center. Now here's the thing, we haven't actually done any attacks on General Kwai's base, so he's going to send pretty much all of his defending units after me, and I've only got 10 tanks to really counteract it. But here's the thing, because the war factory and the reactors are still in play, it's sort of like bottlenecked his tanks a little bit, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to use my Emperors and Battle Masters to destroy his Battle Masters and Gatling tanks. Now, luckily for me, he didn't have too many Emperors inside of his base, so I can actually deal with these small fries much easier. The tank hunters are a bother here. He does have quite a few, so we are going to lose quite a few tanks in the end, but we've made very solid damage on General Kwai's base. So even though we've taken out a lot of General Kwai's tanks, I want to try and take out the dozers, because we took out one dozer and one command center at the start of our assault here. I need to be able to destroy the other two dozers that he's got in play, that way I know that he won't be able to rebuild. So I ended up taking out the War Factory, the Emperor, and a bunch of other tanks, and I'm just going to push west as much as I can, and I don't mind if I lose the Emperors as long as we get the dozers out of the way, and that guarantees that he won't rebuild any more buildings. Now, because we got rid of the War Factory, it does cut his vehicle production in half here. Now I've got one Emperor left, and I thought to myself, well, we could get more tanks inside the tunnel, and then that way we can continue to press our attack. Now my Emperor is hanging on by a thread here. Luckily, the Helix in this situation is dumb and is not really doing as much damage as it should. It should have like moved more to the east, and then that way it could consistently shoot my Emperor, but it didn't get the kill off in the end, which is great news for me, and then that way I can pop out with more units and continue pressing my attack. And since it was a Helix and some Red Guards, the Gats on my Emperors as well as my Gatling tank will deal with that just fine. Now the Battlemaster and the Gatling tank have been vetted as well, so I'll be able to keep those guys a lot longer, so they'll be able to endure those MiGs that were attacking when they were inside that sneak attack area. So with the last 4 tanks that we got, I decided to push to the north and then try and push to the east to get to Kwai's War Factory and Airfield, but I ended up changing my mind partway through, and I got my Battlemaster and my Gatling tank to stay back, so I'm just going to let the Emperors do the work here. Meanwhile, I can just get my Battlemaster and Gatling tank to set to guard mode and then cover the reactors. So that's something that I will do eventually. Now, other things that I could have done that I didn't is I could have used the sneak attack and then gotten the rest of my tanks defending the base to actually move in to destroy Kwai's base. He didn't really have anything left in the way of defense, so I could have basically fast-tracked my attack. And when it comes to Generals challenges, you don't lose if you lose all of your buildings, you'll lose if you lose all your buildings plus all of your units too. So I could have very well just rushed all of my units into Kwai's base, and then we could have done a base trade potentially, something like that. But yeah, I didn't. But even so, 4 tanks is still going to be more than enough to wipe out the rest of Kwai's base as well. So while I'm here, let me just take a minute to shout out our members of the channel. So we've got Just Eddie 69, who is a Kwai captain, and Reneva Straighten, who is a Kwai cadet. Now, you guys also have the extra perk of suggesting new ideas for me to turn into videos. That will be member suggested content, which I shall be fast tracking as well when you actually suggest your idea to me. So Reneva, you'll get 1 per month, and Just Eddie, you'll get 2 per month because you're a level 2 member. Now, the other part of this little mini update is I am not accepting any more viewer suggested content. So no more viewer suggested ideas. I still get viewer suggested ideas coming in, but I'm not taking any more. That was something I talked about like 2 weeks ago, but the ideas are still flowing in. But yeah, it's going to be a members only thing. So you will need to be a member in order for me to turn your ideas into videos, but I don't expect you to contribute financially to the channel in any way, shape or form, so it is totally optional, no pressure at all. Anyways, I figured I'd try and let you all know because, like I said, there's still more requests coming in, and I had to keep saying, sorry mate, I can't do it. Here's the link as to why, you know, I'm not doing any more. So yeah, hopefully you watched this section. Hopefully you all understand that there's just too many requests coming in.
How about the test drive, huh? Right here. Move order confirmed. Yes. Fighting order ready.
So at this point, we've pretty much cleaned up a lot of General Kwai's base. We've lost a lot of our buildings as well because we've been so focused on the tanks attacking General Kwai's base, but really doesn't really matter if we lose all of our buildings. Like I said before, we only lose until we lose all of our units plus all of our buildings. So in any case, this is how we did Veloxis' second challenge, where we hijacked a bunch of General Kwai's tanks and then we turned them against him to destroy his whole base pretty much. So if you enjoyed this fun little challenge, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I do have a playlist if you want to check out any other content. I'm Kwai, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye.
Where is the battle? We will prevail. Quiet down there, General. There must be a lot of tanks rolling towards your base, don't you think? Gatling, ready for action. Oh, yeah. We are victorious.